I'll go through all of today's Tesla stock news. We'll start with some promising news for Tesla, and then later I will also cover all of the questions that will probably be asked during the earnings call next week. We got Model 3 production numbers and for all of September, and this is just the refresh Model 3. Tesla made 18,000 refresh Model 3s, which is actually really good. Although, of course, if you compare it to some of the previous months, it is still substantially lower, but not by a lot. If you look right here at January and December, we are basically already there. And in October, I would expect Tesla to, of course, do better and perhaps even beat some of these previous recent months right here. It is a bit interesting, though, that the Model Y production also slowed down. One reason could be because the Model Y just received a few updates as well, so that makes sense, but perhaps some of the resources were allocated from the Model Y to the Model 3, slowing down the Model Y. The slowdown for the Model Y could continue in October as well, but it shouldn't be all that big. So overall, looking at this, I'm very happy. This also indicates that in the future, when Tesla upgrades its models, the transition is likely going to be pretty smooth, unlike the transition to the refresh Model X and S. So Tesla team overall is doing really great here. I'm happy with the Tesla team. In terms of weekly production, Tesla's producing 4,200 updated Model 3s in Giga Shanghai. But that's if you look at the whole month. If you just look at the end of the month, then production should be a little bit higher. Tesla Chan says that it is known that daily production has exceeded 1,000 units recently. This is a rumor, but it could be true. And if it is true, it would mean that we are about to exceed previous record production of the Model 3. Maybe not in October, but November, December, yeah. If we don't see a record production number for the Model 3 in December, I will be a bit surprised. Tesla has 2 locations currently, and both are in California, where they can wrap your car. But looking at this, it is clear that Tesla is going to expand into more locations. Drive Tesla Canada reports that Tesla has been fined by the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission for not adhering to mandatory safety standards concerning button batteries that, for example, you put in your key fob. The fine is $155,000, and they were imposed due to Tesla's failure to conduct required safety tests and provide mandatory safety warnings for specific products powered by button batteries. The Model 3 and Model Y and Model X key fobs have been found to comply with the safety standards. This regulation seems a bit peculiar, but here's the justification from the government. Button batteries, when ingested or inserted, can cause severe harm, and in some cases they can be fatal. In Australia, 3 children have tragically lost their lives due to button battery related incidents. A Tesla engineer who was fired last year in September is now facing charges of leaking secret data to a tech startup. Anyone who wants to steal from Tesla should think twice before doing it. Here's a full rundown of EV sales by brand in the US. Interesting that Ford sales are not really growing that much anymore. The Tesla mobile app now shows level 2 destination chargers, so that's good. The updated Model Y is currently being shipped to Chinese customers, and someone says that he can see parking sensors on the front, and he's wondering if Tesla put them back on. I think I see something here, and then I see something over here as well. But Tesla Chan says that the parking sensors for the Model Y in China have not been removed yet. That's specifically, at least for the domestic market. You know how Tesla said that it is going to start doing these color wraps? Well, this company also wraps cars, and they recently said that they are not working with Tesla to help Tesla, for example. And look at what their stock has done. Down 18% in just a few days. Here's one more reason to own a Tesla. The person that was driving this Tesla was escaping from people with guns chasing him, and he was able to maneuver and escape to safety and eventually survive because he said the Tesla vehicle was fast enough to let him escape. So that's another reason to get yourself a Tesla. But a Cybertruck, I think, in this situation would have been even better. A Cybertruck is going to be pretty fast also, but you're not going to be able to shoot through it as easily. The earnings call is going to be next Wednesday, and Gary says that this will be the first one without ex-CFO Zach Kirkhorn to keep Elon in check, so maybe it will be a bit more interesting than usual. He also announced that management will guide to 2024 production year-over-year growth percentage, although they may go through 2024 capacity by Gigafactory, which could total 2.7 million, he says. He's guessing 250,000 for the Cybertruck. This is the first Cybertruck that I have seen being pulled over by the police, and I'm pretty sure that person right there is Franz, the chief designer of Tesla, and that policeman looks pretty happy to me. I would be happy too if I could pull over a Cybertruck. Overall, it looks like it's a pleasant exchange. Tesla keeps releasing these little items. This one is a cyber opener, and you can get it in the US for $50, except it's out of stock now. Maybe Tesla should make more of these then. Here's another item. You can get this whole set for $150. This is crazy. A single internal combustion engine vehicle sparked a massive 1,500 vehicle fire at this London airport just now, recently. We don't believe it was an EV. That's good. Andrew Hopkinson, chief fire officer, said it's believed to be diesel powered. I am bookmarking that story, and anyone that complains about EVs catching on fire, I'm gonna show that to them. And if you know anyone that complains about EV fires, maybe show them that video as well. Cruise is expanding and is now offering driverless robotaxi rides in Houston, Texas. Remember that Kentucky Ford plant? That's really important to Ford. Ford says 13 plants are now impacted because of the Kentucky truck plant strike. And I don't think it's ending here. We will see things get uglier. I think more layoffs are very likely, and it's just going to be ugly for Ford. Things are just getting worse and worse and worse, it seems. Kia announced that it plans to have annual sales of 1 million EVs by 2026 and push that to 1.6 million by the end of 2030. Their new three-row SUV, relatively speaking, is a pretty attractive offer right now. If I wanted a practical big SUV that's not too crazy expensive, that's also electric, I would certainly consider this option. There was this article from SF Gate earlier, and if you look at their account, they say all the journalism that matters from San Francisco and the Bay Area. Sounds like they should do a pretty good job, right? Anyway, they said that there's this Tesla charger that is using a diesel generator to charge Teslas, except they did no investigation and based the entire article on what someone claimed to have seen in May 2015, so 8 years ago. And it turns out there's no diesel generator, nothing. And the property owner is actually inviting everyone to check and inspect the property if they want to. Now, why do you think someone would publish an article like this year, based on something that happened, or supposedly happened, 8 years ago, without doing any investigation into what's happening right now? And even if you really care about the climate and you care about pollution a lot, this overall would still be positive if that supercharger was powered by diesel, because most people, they do their charging at home. And even if their electricity is mostly from coal plants, let's say, that's actually still better overall. You can look at Tesla's impact report and the data that comes from China, because a lot of their electricity is not clean electricity. But our electricity is actually cleaner. So when you take that into consideration, even if an occasional supercharger was powered by diesel generators, it wouldn't really be that much of a problem. The point is, we are moving away, we are making progress. I don't think we need to make a big deal about something like this, especially then it's not true. This could turn out to be pretty serious. The European Union opened a probe into X over all of this misinformation, supposedly. And non-compliance or inadequate responses from X could trigger fines of up to 5% of the firm's daily global turnover. That's a lot. That's not 5% of the profit. And there's no profit really. So yeah, it's 5% of the turnover. That's a big deal, because we know X is not really profitable yet. So if all of a sudden it will be fined significantly, then, don't be too overly surprised that Elon may sell some Tesla stock. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Probably it will not happen. But it's something to keep in mind. Elon responds to this and says, they still haven't sent us any examples. Also pot. Kettle. What I do really like about X right now is that the community notes really give you the other side as well. So even if I see something that I agree with, and then let's say there's a community note, I'm like, huh, okay. That's interesting. That's good to know. One thing that I wish was a bit different is that even smaller posts would get community noted. Now, unless you get hundreds of thousands of views on the post, even if you tell a complete lie, an obvious lie, you probably will not get community noted. But it's not really realistic to expect to see community notes on smaller posts. And look, the Cybertruck was in this new Simpsons episode. Free advertising. Here are questions submitted by investors for the next earnings call. How many Cybertruck deliveries do you anticipate for 2024? Good question. I definitely want to know too. When do you expect Model 3 Highland to be available in the US? I really want to know also. Can you provide a progress update on the 4680 cell, particularly progress towards performance improvements and cost savings outlined on Battery Day? Another question I like. Good question so far. Could you please provide an update on capacity expansion plans for the company's factories in Berlin and Austin and the opening schedule of Gigafactory Mexico? Yeah, I want to know about Gigafactory Mexico, but also I particularly want to know more about Austin's expansion or Austin making the next generation vehicle. When will we see the first ones coming from Austin? Because once that happens, then we know soon it will also happen in Mexico. So far, the most popular questions, I like them. Here's another question that we will probably see on the earnings call. Why was the price dropped on FSD if it is getting better and robotaxis expected soon? Good question. But I think I'm not sure if they will actually answer this question. But my assumption is that if you drop the price, it just means it's not really there yet. So, yeah. Current sell-side consensus assumes that Tesla will deliver 2.3 million vehicles in 2024, representing 28% growth versus 2023 guidance. Is this growth rate achievable without any mass market launches in 2024? And when does Tesla expect to return to its 50% long-term compounded annual growth rate? I would expect it to happen when Tesla releases the next generation vehicle. Mercedes is accepting legal liability for when its level 3 autonomous driving system Drive Pilot is active. Is Tesla planning to accept legal liability for FSD, and if so, when? Yes, but only when Tesla solves full self-driving, meaning it's safer than human driving. Until then, I don't expect it to even try, even though I'm sure Tesla could do what Mercedes is doing here, but Tesla wants a general solution that works pretty much everywhere and not just in these super limited conditions. Do you have an approximate timeline in mind for the robotaxi, driven or non-driven? What excites you most about how this project is progressing? In terms of timelines, I don't think that Elon's words mean a lot to most investors. I'm not sure how useful it would be to have Elon answer that. I would expect Elon to soon say something like, yeah, 2024 is going to be the year when full self-driving will be solved. Maybe not on this earnings call, but on the next earnings call, I would expect to hear that. Although I don't remember hearing that on the first earnings call of this year, but it happened later. How is FSD version 12 progress going? I definitely want to know that. What are the biggest challenges? How will you extract a mind's eye view from an end-to-end network? Will Optimus be working on Gigafactory lines next year? If so, how many would you guess will be deployed? That's a fun question to ask. I don't really expect any bots to be working at Tesla's factories yet, not in a significantly useful manner, not yet, not next year. Do you expect the 4680 RAM to support both the Cybertruck and the Model Y production next year? Now, that's something I definitely want to know and hear more about. Can you give us an update on your expected RAM for the Tesla Semi? I definitely want to know more about that. And then we have two questions, and the form of this question will probably be answered during the shareholder call. I'll just read one here. The Tesla Model 3 and Y now cost approximately the same as an average non-luxury car and non-luxury SUV after tax credit in the US despite better features. Why does Tesla repeatedly choose price cuts over other cheaper strategies to grow volumes such as educational ads? If you missed it, Tesla started advertising in Japan already, so maybe Tesla is trying to see how effective that campaign is going to be over there first. When are Cybertrucks going to start going into full production? Is there a schedule defining issue with the Cybertruck remaining? And then there's one more question that basically asks, when will Tesla's costs start to decrease faster than Tesla's average selling price? Which means when that happens, Tesla's margins will start going up. I'm also curious about this one. Will Giga Berlin produce Model 3s next year? Because we know that Europe may make it a bit difficult to import vehicles from China. And Model 3s, every single Model 3 that comes to Europe comes from China. I'm looking forward to this next earnings call. These were all the most popular questions that should be answered on the call, and that day I will probably make at least 2 videos. This is interesting. Lucid is delaying its Q3 delivery sprint so they can count them again. It's not like they are selling a whole lot of cars. They barely sell any cars. How can you have an issue counting the cars? Later today I will post an exclusive video on Patreon, so I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters. By joining my Patreon, you will get access to how much I think it is fair to pay per Tesla share each year between 2023 and 2033. If you sign up for the investor tier of support, you will also get my valuation model of Tesla stock with a 45-minute video walkthrough. And YouTube says you should watch this video next, but if you haven't finished watching that discussion about the future with Elon Musk, watch this one first. My name is Matt Potius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.